Alright boys, today we're ranking the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. Not the best, not the most technical, just the ones that make me jump off the couch, spill me beer and scream at the TV when they're fighting. It's all subjective, pure entertainment value based on chaos, violence, personality and how cooked they make me feel when they fight. Let's start from the bottom and work our way all the way up to the gods of chaos. There's about 80 fighters on here, so we better get into it. Let's punch on. Okay, we're going to get started with the F tier. These are a few non-examples, some guys to show you what I don't mean when I say entertaining in the UFC. The type of fighters that you time your bowel movements with their fights to ensure that you don't miss anything exciting on the card. First up, William Gomez. Gomez is a snoozy points fighter. He runs around the outside of the cage throwing the occasional jab or teep. Firm F tier. Farid and Javid Basharat. I'm lumping these two fun sponges together. The most exciting moment in both of their careers combined was when Javid got slept by Ricky Simon. Chris Gutierrez. Do I need to explain this one? Torres Finney. Little roided up wrestle monster. One of the least fan-friendly styles of all time. Makes me sick to my stomach. Michael Chiesa. If I ever can't sleep, I just load up a Michael Chiesa fight on YouTube and it's lights out within 2 minutes. Aging like milk and getting more and more boring every fight. Calvin Kattar. Such a letdown from what we thought Kattar's career was going to look like. He always finds a way to stink it up and he has no finishing instincts and very little will to win a fight. Very boring fighter, even with a striking first style. Leon Edwards. If you take away the Usman head kick, what else has Leon done excitement-wise? He's very content to strike at range and let things go to a decision. It was great to see him get dunked on his bald spot by Bilal. He made Bilal Muhammad look like Yuri Prohaska. F tier. Okay, next we're moving on to the C tier, the mildly entertaining guys. These are guys who have a good performance every now and then or just exciting enough most of the time to earn a spot on the list. Aljamain Sterling. I like Aljo, but he's borderline F tier lately. I'll cut him some slack because I do appreciate high-level grappling and jiu-jitsu, and his performances against Evloev and Ortega were decent, but Aljo's on thin ice. There's a reason the UFC hasn't been scrambling to get him a title shot at featherweight. Aljo's 1 or 2 snoozy decisions away from falling to the F tier. Bilal Muhammad. I've had plenty of good wins by putting a few bucks on Bilal Muhammad's fights to go the distance. I've kept him out of the F tier because he's had a few decent performances lately. He TKO'd Sean Brady and his fight against JDM was pretty sick and he did rid us of the Leon Edwards title reign. The UFC is working very hard to find Bilal highlights to promote his next fight. He just makes the cut at C tier. Cyril Gane. Cyril is always in big fights, which probably helps his entertainment score a bit. Being at heavyweight makes for butt-clenching fights generally, and Gane does have a fun striking style. When he's got his opponent outclassed, he can put a beating on them. Think Tai Tuivasa, Sergey Spivak. Some pretty awful performances in the UFC holding back from A or B tier. His paid-off loss to John Jones and his robbery win over Volkov spring to mind. Can be very entertaining when he's on, but generally pretty technical and sticks to the plan. C tier. Sean Strickland. Another guy who has promise but doesn't often deliver on the violence. Sean is the master of telling fans he's going to go to war and do the man dance for you fucking guys, but then teeping and jabbing for 25 minutes to a close 48-47 decision. Some bonus points for Sean for whooping Izzy and Abbas, but recent stinkfests against DDP, Paulo Costa, Imavov, etc. have Sean here in the C tier. Borderline becoming a shit break fighter. Think he just got married though. Congrats, Sean. Michel Pereira. This guy is on a Hall of Fame losing skid at the moment. Don't let him getting flatlined by Kyle Dorcas distract you from the fact that this guy does some insane shit in the octagon. Spinning stuff, backflips onto a grounded opponent, rolling thunders, cartwheel strikes. This guy's actually pretty good to watch. It would be higher up if he hadn't been getting consistently beaten by schmucks lately. Michael Venom Page. The expectation and potential of MVP is S tier, but in reality, we usually get a low-paced, stylish-looking close decision win by MVP with a couple of knockdowns here and there. Definition of occasionally entertaining, hasn't reached his entertainment potential in the UFC yet. Nasruddin Imavov. Imavov is a technical, skillful, decision-y kind of guy, but he's very dangerous on the feet and he's been putting on some pretty sick performances lately. He has heat in his hands and his knockout over Izzy definitely rose his stock a bit. C tier definitely has some entertaining performances here and there, but can have a snoozer too. Ian Machado Gary. Another one who's pushing his luck lately. Very highly skilled fighter, technical and very good. Ian Gary has a very frustrating anti-fun style at times. He's great at shutting down the weapons of his opponents and keeping himself safe. Not the most fan-friendly style though, but he has had some good performances and finishes here and there. Most of the excitement from an Ian Machado Gary fight comes from the hope that this might be the one where he gets knocked out. I'll keep watching for that moment. C tier for the cuck. Arman Sarukian. Barely active enough to even make this list. I'll actually remove Shavkat from this tier because he's basically inactive now. I'll include Arman because he at least has a fight booked against Dan Hooker, another highly entertaining guy. Arman has a lot of impressive KO wins and has a very entertaining style. He's got elite striking, a highly developed ground game, and nasty submissions. Just can't get in the cage consistently enough to warrant a higher ranking. Usually entertaining, only occasionally fights, so yeah, we're going to go with C tier. Brandon Moreno. Moreno's getting on. I'd say his career's in its twilight stage and he gets a bit overrated in terms of excitement, I think. He has had some legendary moments in the UFC and you can't take those away from him. A lot of decisions lately, but always down to scrap and go to war. Mostly a striker, but can get himself into some insane scrambles, and his jiu-jitsu isn't too bad either. For a small guy at flyweight, Moreno brings the heat and you got to respect what he's done. Robert Whittaker. I'll include him. His best days are also behind him, but prime Bobby Knuckles was a very entertaining guy. He's got a sick karate blitz style, sick jab, the 1-2 head kick combo that's his signature move. He's got some sick KOs like the one over Brunson and more recently against Ikram Aliskerov. Yeah, putting some respect on Bobby Knuckles. Israel Adesanya. Has been a bit of a letdown in terms of exciting performances in the UFC. Has had some great ones at the start of his title run, like against Bobby Knuckles and Paulo Costa, but has failed to keep momentum with his performances. He's been involved in some of the most boring, low-output, striking chess match title fights in UFC middleweight history. He's made a bit of a resurgence lately in terms of excitement, but that's likely because his skills are declining and other guys have caught up to him. Got to have Izzy in the list, but put him at the C tier. Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy, not known as the most entertaining guy, but I think his stocks are actually on the rise. He's not inherently a boring style fighter, he's just had some stinky performances. Koulibaly, Barboza, Ige, Emmett, all of these guys can be held partly responsible for the boring fight they had with Lerone Murphy, but I will just keep him down here in the C tier until we've seen some more nasty finishes and highlights from Lerone. He's got it in him for sure. He's on the list because of the crazy spinning back KO over Aaron Pico, but that could prove to be an outlier in his career. Let's go with C tier for now. We'll see how entertaining his next scrap is. Umar Nurmagomedov. Umar can be pretty fun. He's high level. He's a well-rounded guy. He fights smart, so occasionally that leads to a boring grappling display like the one against Sandhagen. But he's got some knockouts and submissions here and there. Hasn't been in that many exciting fights in the UFC. He got clipped by Bekzat Almakhan, which was pretty funny. He had a very high-level fight against Merab, but you can't fault him for buckling under Merab's pressure. Umar, solid fighter to watch. Magomed Ankalaev. Big Ank gets a bad rap for being a boring, daggy wrestler, but he's actually one of the more entertaining guys from Dagestan. He's more of a stand-up guy who can mix in the wrestling when he needs to. I don't think his wrestling or grappling are actually that good, to be honest. He got submitted by Paul Craig. People forget, man. You do not want to be down there with Paul Craig. Ank is a pretty entertaining fighter. He's got some wicked knockout wins over Johnny Walker, Anthony Smith, Ion Kutalaba. Lots of decisions in there too. Also, very, very entertaining when Ankalaev loses. So I'll place Big Ank, rest his soul. It's almost like he's still with us. I'll put him at the C tier. Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja is next. He's going in the C tier as well. Very occasionally entertaining, but his default style is a grappling smudge fest or a quick submission. It's not really Pantoja's fault that he's got boring fights. He's just so many levels above these guys at flyweight that it doesn't usually end up being much of a scrap. The only guys Pantoja is knocking out are regional bums or mega chinny guys like Matt Schnell. Pretty sure my nana knocked out Matt Schnell back in the Contender Series in 1986, actually. Pantoja, he can't even get his home Brazilian crowd to stay and watch his fights. He's lucky to make the C tier. Merab Dvalishvili. Merab is a tough one to place. If you like dominant, suffocating, relentless pressure style fighting and call that entertaining, then Merab is S tier. If you like winning, then Merab is S tier. Here at Punch Ons, though, the level of entertainment is directly correlated with the level of face punching going on, the knockout threats and the pure fucking unhinged violence. We need blood and gore and broken bones in order to really scratch that violence itch. So for me, even though Merab is a funny guy, he's a dominant champion, he's destroying guys in a way nobody else can do or has ever done, I don't think I'm alone in saying that Merab can be pretty boring. It's hard to feel scared or hyped up when this little fucking lemming fights. Respect to Merab, he's got a few fun fights like the Umar fight, the Sandhagen fight was okay, I guess. Hard to place Merab higher than C tier, but has to be on the list. Okay, next up is the B tier. These guys are certified scrappers. I'm getting hyped up for these guys fighting. There's a good chance that these guys are either going to go to war or get a crazy finish every time they fight. There's a lot in this tier, so I'll move somewhat quickly. Here we go. B tier, Stephen Thompson. Clean, stylish, fun kickboxing style, respectful dude, usually avoids grappling and lets his opponents up if he knocks them down, just so he can sit them down again. Wonder Boy is usually in fun fights, but his lack of wrestling defense can sometimes lead to him getting smudged. That's why I haven't got him higher, even though he's got one of the more fun and interesting styles in the UFC. Love me a Wonder Boy fight. Sergey Pavlovich. Big Sergey was once the most scary guy in the UFC. A lot of people thought this guy was destined to be the heavyweight champ. He's usually got a brutal slugfest style and goes out trying to knock his opponent's head off. A couple of snoozes lately against Waldo Cortez Acosta and Biggie Boy. And a couple of bad losses before that. KO'd by Tom Aspinall and schooled by Alexander Volkov. The little KO run he had, though, before that was nasty. He got 6 first-round KOs in a row, including over Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa. If the matchup is right for Sergey, he's most likely getting it done by a crazy, wild, schizo flurry of punches that puts his opponent to sleep. So you can't fault Sergey Pavlovich. B tier, Sam Patterson. This guy's only just getting started, but he's already building a nasty highlight reel. Heavy hands, a solid ground game with nasty submissions, goes forward, looks for the finish. I got my eyes on Sam Patterson. Also love him because he was the first ever correct pick on the channel. Exciting fighter overall. Can't wait to see his next one. Michael Chandler. God bless. See you at the top. Iron Mike. Definitely not the most active guy or the smartest or the most skilled, technical. He's kind of dog shit, really, but he does know how to eat a punch and get himself involved in a sloppy, bloody war. He's been nothing but entertainment since joining the UFC, knocking out Dan Hooker on debut and kicking Tony Ferguson's chin into outer space. He's lost most of his fights in the UFC, but even those performances were mostly really entertaining. The Gaethje fight, the first Charles fight was pretty good. The Dustin fight where he fish hooked DP. Yeah, you can't deny that Chandler has been in some really entertaining wars. His worst loss to Paddy Pimblett, as well as his inactivity and waiting around for Conor McGregor, might have killed a lot of the hype on Chandler though. But definitely a fun guy to watch. B tier, Brandon Royval. Raw dog. This dude's a little gangster. A little cholo gangster from the hood. Nah, he's a sick cunt. A bit of recency bias going on here because his most recent fight with Joshua Van was fucking insane. Raw dog, he's always down to scrap. He's really skilled to back up his attitude. I'm looking forward to seeing him go toe-to-toe with Manel Cap soon. Yeah, respect to Brendan Royval. B tier, Shara Magomedov. This one-eyed pirate motherfucker is an absolute piece of shit outside the cage, but he's pretty fun once he steps in it. Just the fact that he's fighting with one eye and that he looks how he does adds a lot to his mystique as well. Also, one of the only Dagestani guys who prefers to strike. That pushes him up a bit as well. He's had some pretty cool performances, got a crazy double spinning back fist KO over Armin Petrosian, and he's had a few other good wins too. Hopefully a few more good fun fights to come from this guy. B tier, Kevin Vachejos. B tier guy, could be one to watch as his career develops. Very, very fun style and a lot of cool finishes before his UFC run. Could be a high tier entertaining fighter in the coming years. Malcolm Wellmaker. Another prospect on the tier list. Can't rate him too highly as he's not got the resume or the consistency to warrant it yet. But if this guy keeps knocking out cans on his way to a ranking and then gets a few more good performances up there, we could be looking at a very entertaining knockout artist on his way up at bantamweight. Keep your eye on this guy, Malcolm Wellmaker. Charles Johnson. Inner G's getting a mention here at the B tier, maybe a little high. He has been known to have a snoozer decision here and there. There's a lot of decisions on his record. But sometimes that means more octagon time and therefore you get to see what the fighter is made of a bit more. Charles Johnson, we know he's a solid fighter. He knocked out Joshua Van and just knocked out Lonier Kavanagh. Bit of a cockroach maxer, but worth a shout. Mauricio Hoofy. We can't let his one loss to BSD take away from the fact that this guy has a very, very entertaining and fun style. All the fighting nerds guys are fun. Hoofy probably has the flashiest style, but once again, nobody check his grappling, brother. The insane spinning wheel kick over King Green, nasty finish over Jamie Malarkey. I can see this guy finishing his career off with an insane highlight reel. Just needs to work on his grappling defense. B tier, Benoit Saint-Denis. The guy who just smudged Mauricio Rufy and took all his hype. Benoit's a pretty entertaining guy. He goes to war, whether that means him getting busted up like he did against Moicano or if he's the one on top. He's always good to watch. He's like a French SAS soldier or something in his past life. And he gets nasty with it in the cage. So we're going to put some respect on Benoit Saint-Denis. Caio Borralho. Another fighting nerds guy with a cool karate, kickboxing style. Not a whole bunch of finishes, but I think he's an entertaining guy, and with the right matchup, he's going to have fun fights. Modestas Bukauskas. Underrated guy in general, definitely underrated in terms of excitement value. A huge, jacked marauder at light heavyweight, massive nukes in his hands and feet, and a solid submission game too. I have a feeling Modestas is going to have a huge 2026 and he'll be climbing his way up this list. A lot of fun striking matchups for Modestas at 205 too. Hype fighter. Walter Walker. Schizo, cooked, raw, sloppy, angry, and wild. On a 3-fight win streak of tearing guys' ankles off and eating them. B tier for Walter. Johnny Walker. Another cooked unit with a bit of a insane Yuri Prohaska style, awkward striking, explosive attacks, weirdly timed flying knees and spinning elbows, always looking to kill or be killed. Not many boring Johnny Walker fights out there, win or lose. B tier for both Johnny and Walter Walker. Alexander Volkov. Volkov's just kept getting better and better over time. He's got solid kickboxing for a big guy, nasty kicks, he's rangy, and he isn't scared to throw hands with big, scary guys. Probably one of the more technical heavyweights out there, but he's usually in a fun fight. He has some nasty submissions too. The Ezekiel choke over Tai Tuivasa comes to mind. Great fighter. Khalil Roundtree Jr. Khalil is another guy whose fights I'll be watching until he hangs up the gloves. A really slick, fast Muay Thai striking style, great counters and precision striking. Doesn't like to grapple much, tries to land shots early and get his opponents out of there. He's a kill or be killed type of fighter. As his fights go on and he gasses out, he gets way less technical, and this has been his undoing in big fights lately, but it's been fun to watch. Very fun style has Khalil, and he's got a lot of heart and grit to go with it as well. B tier excitement for all Khalil fights. Carlos Ulberg. A sound, technical kickboxer. He's got heavy hands, clean counter shots, and a pure striking style. Can't ask for too much more. A couple more big performances and people will really start to notice Carlos Ulberg. Big fights coming up for him in 2026. Rainier de Ridder. I do not know where this guy came from, but I'm so glad he's in the UFC. An absolute giga chad, sloppy, untechnical, unorthodox, strange, goofy as hell, but gritty, aggressive, forward-moving, and very crafty. I wish the RDR Fluffy fight got kept together because that would have been a banger. But hopefully we still get an entertaining performance out of RDR against Brendan Allen. B tier for RDR. Renato Moicano. Another guy who's generally in fun fights. He is on thin ice lately after that Benil performance. That was a total multi-murderer, that one. Moicano, he's a hot mess inside the octagon. He's really fluky with his style. It sort of just gets pieced up before he flukes a takedown or a submission, but it's always fun to watch. He goes to war, and he's a funny, entertaining guy in general. Let's go, motherfuckers. Paddy Pimblett. Lad, it's Paddy the fucking Baddy. He's going in the B tier. Had a couple of stinkers like against Jared Gordon, but he's got some wicked finishes and looked great against some decent guys like King Green, Michael Chandler, etc. Pretty entertaining style. Weird looking guy, and his striking is pretty yuck looking at times, but he's improving. It's his nasty ground game that we really look forward to. We saw how violent and devastating his effort against Michael Chandler was. That performance alone scores Paddy some extra violence points. Paddy the Baddie, B tier. Justin Gaethje. Gaethje is another guy who's pushing his luck lately. Former BMF champ, long-time lightweight contender and title challenger. He's got a very good reputation, Gaethje, as the human highlight reel. That's got to come with a decent violence resume. I reckon he's a little bit overrated. He usually gets himself into great scraps, win or lose. He's had fun ones like against Charles Oliveira, one of the best one-round fights ever that was. Had a sick head kick over DP to win the BMF belt, and a gritty losing performance against Max Holloway at UFC 300. Stood in the pocket with 10 seconds to go, swanging and banging, and got KO'd for the world to see with 1 second left. That's the kind of big dick energy we need to see in the UFC. Respect to Gaethje, B tier. Davidson Figueiredo. Figgy Smalls, the first of a little run of former champs here. Figgy's a nasty little guy. There's a reason the UFC trusted him to open up the UFC 300 card. There's a lot of damage and violence packed into this little dude. B tier. Sean O'Malley. This guy is constantly training for war by playing Warzone all day instead of training to block Marab's double legs. But when he's up against a striker who wants to have an actual fist fight, Sugar Sean is a bad man and he can put the best of them away with his hands. He's a bit of a lank dad weight bully, but he's really good at using that long reach. It's hard to place Sean too high because he's not exactly been in a ton of wars, more so clean performances and KOs. The Piotr Jan fight was a solid scrap. Maybe Sean's a little bit high here in terms of the violence he's inflicted, but he's definitely entertaining to watch, and I get excited when Sugar Sean steps into the cage. Dricus du Plessis. Nobody said anything about dogs, bro. Chill out. Dricus is great to watch, loves a scrap, really confusing, goofy fight style, but it somehow works, except against a certain Chechnyan guy. But nah, DDP, he's entertaining. I loved his fight against Izzy. It was sick to see him on the come up in the UFC. Can't wait till his next one. Alexander Volkanovski. Mate, Volkanovski, what a fucking bloke. Absolute unit of a man. Featherweight goat, always in a good scrap or just straight up dominating his opponent. Or getting slept. Never had a boring fight, really. Maybe some of the moments in the Max fights. And I think he had a few snoozy performances back in the day against maybe Jose Aldo. Volkanovski, he has that tidy, technical city kickboxing style that he's damn near perfected. He's the master of moving around the cage, tapping you with leg kicks, stinging you with a jab, peppering ya. Oi, fucking us. Yeah, you like that one? Yeah, fucking Volk's the man. Hard to be that good for that long at that level and still make it as entertaining as he has. Once in a lifetime fighter. Up the Volk. Khamzat Chimaev. A guy who's entertaining in his own way as well. Khamzat Chimaev, the middleweight champion, is here in the B tier. Maybe ask me before the DDP smash job and I would have said S or A tier. He's borderline A tier, but lost a lot of hype in just the way he opted to fight Dricus. It'll be interesting to see if he just sticks with that style moving forward. Chimaev is just an evil, unstoppable force of nature who just wants to smash, brother. I don't give a fuck, just smash, kill everybody, smash him and get the belt. Khamzat needs to make this next one more interesting to get his way back up the list. Islam Makhachev. I'm putting Islam at the B tier too. Very good, well-rounded, technical fighter, long-time champion, arguably the lightweight GOAT, and approaching huge legacy status pending his venture up to welterweight. There's something just undeniable about Islam, and I'm worried for JDM, mate. Islam's fights are all pretty much exciting. That's why he's here on the tier list and at the top of B tier. But there's just something about fighters being too good, too technical, too clean that takes a bit of the excitement out of fighting. Guys like Khamzat and Islam, they're so good, they've never really been tested that much. Never been in insane, violent, bloody, back-and-forth wars. I mean, you've got the Gilbert Burns fight for Khamzat, and I guess the first Volkanovski fight for Islam, but I don't know. I just think in a tier list where we're rating violence, entertainment factor, how excited I am when watching these guys fight, it's just not the same when they're so clean with the grappling and the wrestling. Just my opinion, striking and knockouts are way more fun and exciting than rear naked chokes, arm triangles, and control time decisions. Anyway, Islam, sick fighter, top of B tier, borderline A tier. He's too clinical and clean to really get involved in hectic octagon wars. Did have a good scrap with DP as well, but yeah, that's about as violent as an Islam fight gets. Moving on to the A tier. These guys are the human highlight reels. No Justin Gaethje, he's in B tier, but yeah, these guys in the A tier are just animals out there and they go for the jugular at all times in every fight. All gas, no breaks, life and death stuff. Maybe not 100% of the time, and there's a few interesting ones in here, but remember, the most consistent basis for my rankings here was just how much personal fun and enjoyment I get from watching these guys fight one another. So don't come at me with like, bro, how do you have Esteban Riverbeach above Khamzat Chimaev? It's just the style of fights I like, okay? My cooked brain enjoys guys punching each other in the face and then the guys biting down on their mouthpiece and fucking firing back, all right? Don Fry's my pound for pound number one, mate, and I fucking won't hear anything else. Let's get on with these sick cunt A-tier fighters. Nate Landwehr. Nate the Train, baby! Nate got no other way than straight down those railroad tracks, brother. Nate goes fucking hard in the octagon. He's had a fair few schizo fights where him and the other guy were just wailing on each other. Multiple knockdowns, wild exchanges, and pure carnage. Nate the Train is getting us kicked off in the A tier. Choo-choo! Michael Morales. He's a scary dude, and I would not want to run into him in a dark alley. I'm not totally sure how good he is yet, but he's had some nasty performances already in the UFC. A couple of decisions too, don't get me wrong, but if you go through his record before the UFC, he's just getting finish after finish, mostly round one, a couple of round twos, mostly KOs to punches. He's got one submission in his 18-fight undefeated run. This guy's a problem, bro. He's in the A tier. Peyton Talbot. Talbot is a sick prospect with a nasty KO style and some of the slickest hands you've ever seen. It feels weird having this guy so high and having him above legends like Volk and Islam, but I'm obviously not saying that some of these guys are better fighters. Remember, we're talking about the fighting styles that provide, to me, subjectively, the most entertainment value pound for pound in the UFC. That's why you got guys like Kevin Vachejos and Malcolm Wellmaker above Merab and Pantoja, okay? The order isn't even really that important or relevant in this tier list. I'd change these guys around in a heartbeat. I just wanted an excuse to make a video and froth over these fighters. Peyton Talbot is a very entertaining, exciting guy. Slick boxing, already got some highlight reel KOs. He's got a bit of heart and mongrel, and he's back on the winning path. Looking forward to seeing him back in the octagon to snipe his next opponent. Esteban Ribovic. This guy is a fucking animal. He's got such a sick fighting style. He's an absolute marauder. He's a marauder. He went to war with Elvis Brenner in his last fight. Just endless cardio and heart, constant pressure, hunting Brenner down, combination after combination. Man, I love it when a highly skilled guy gets matched up with a decent guy who's got an insane chin. That's what happened here. Esteban, just a disgusting fighter. Had a crazy war too with Daniel Zellhuber at the Sphere. That was one of the fights of the year. Just knocks guys out. Has got a bit of jiu-jitsu about him too. My favourite type of fighter. Just need to see a bit more from Esteban Ribovic. Mateusz Rombetsky. Another guy cut from the same cloth of Esteban Ribovic. Rombetsky is a demon in there at times. just wading forward and eating shots to give shots, throwing wild overhands with knockout power. He's suffered a couple of bad beatings lately, and he's got a tough fight against Ludovic Klein coming up. But I rate Rombetsky. Super tough, gritty, pressure-based fighter who doesn't know any other way. Maybe ranked a bit high for some people, but here he is. Muktabek Orulbai. A guy who Rombetsky actually beat in one of the most insane bloody wars of all time. This caveman, Muktabek Orulbai Ulu, just materialised in the UFC a couple of years ago. Probably hopped out of a time machine somewhere sent from the year 2500 BC. Orulbai is a bad, bad man. Crazy pressure, aggression, chin, heart. He's basically an unkillable zombie. He's taken UFC wins over Uros Medic, Elvis Brenner, and most recently, Tafik Masayev. He worked that dude and almost ripped his arm off with a Kimura. Just devastating threats from all angles and really interesting and crazy to watch. He's just been booked against Jack Hermansson in a really random matchup in Qatar, but I'll be locked in watching that one for sure. Elvis Brenner. Another guy to just complete this little run of interconnected guys we've got here. Elvis Brenner flies a bit under the radar in the UFC. Probably not a name all that well known to casual fight fans. He's a guy who trains with Shooter Box and he's been fed nothing but killers since he's been in the UFC. Guram Kututiladze, Muktabek Orulbai, Yoel Alvarez, Esteban Ribovic, the list goes on. He's on a 3-fight loss streak, but in all of those fights, he's just been such a dog. Taking shots over and over again, trying to cockroach max his way to a win, but just getting his ass whooped for it. But giving some back as well. He's a sick fighter, Elvis Brenner. Maybe not the most athletic or skilled, but definitely a fight fans fighter. One of those guys who could be on a 6-fight loss streak and you still wouldn't want to cut him. He just shows up and has a crack every time and he's always in an entertaining scrap. Respect to Elvis Brenner. I don't reckon he gets enough. Joe Pyfer. Big body cam Joe Pyfer is up next. This guy's a star in the making in the UFC. If he can keep doing what he's doing, then the way that he's doing it, he's going to be a massive name in the UFC. He's got the ultimate finishing style of fighting. Insane power in his hands, good reach, creative and versatile with his striking, patient, got nasty grappling and submissions, has got a bit of heart. Look, the Hermansson loss was questionable, most likely an off night for Joe, but maybe just an all-time crafty performance from Hermansson. Pyfer is undeniably entertaining. He's up here in the A tier. Anthony Hernandez. Fluffy is a nasty, bad, horrible, vile man in the octagon. I'm sure he's a pretty chill guy, IRL. Fluffy is one of the only guys who can make a mostly grappling style seem violent and chaotic. He's as much of a mental fighter as a physical one. He takes his opponents deep into the abyss and drowns them there if they're not prepared. A really nasty looking style and his striking's decent too. I would not like to be locked in a cage with this guy when there's a performance bonus at stake. Fluffy is an A-tier threat. Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker, bro. Bitch, there's bro. Oh, shot G. Let's fucking go. So, hey, Dan Hooker, brah. He's such a sick kill or be killed fighter. An all-time legend already is Dan Hooker. I don't care what his record says. I don't care how shit he's looked in some of his losses. This guy is down to scrap. He's a bit schizo in the best kind of way. Just watch his fight with Dustin Poirier and you'll see everything you need to know about this guy. Then watch his Gamrot fight while you're going. This guy made Mateusz Gamrot entertaining. A-tier legendary fighter. Let's go, Dan Hooker, brah. Charles Oliveira. I've been talking about Charles Oliveira a lot this week. A Charles de Bronx fight week is always hyped. He's carrying this entire UFC Rio card this weekend. Another guy who just walks into the fire, deadly everywhere the fight goes, actively tries to finish you at all times. Very light on defense. The run he went on his way to the belt was legendary. You can't not have the guy with the most finishes in UFC history on the tier list. A tier for Charles de Bronx. Piotr Jan. Look at this nasty little fucker. He's mean mugging me right now. And you. He's probably thinking, what the fuck are you looking at? Petr Yan is one of the sickest boxers of all time in the UFC. In his prime, which he's not too far past now, he was piecing up everyone at bantamweight. He looked unstoppable and basically was until he kneed Aljo, which actually adds more to my liking of Petr Yan and his entertainment value. Turns out he would have lost to Merab anyway after that, but yeah, don't you fucking dare tell me that Petr Yan doesn't belong in the A tier. Joshua Van. What a man. I'm still buzzing off watching his fight with Brandon Royval. What a fucking scrap that was. One of the best, if not the best, flyweight fight of all time. Joshua Van is another one like Petr Yan who just has that slick, clean-looking boxing style, so deadly and accurate. And because they're small guys and don't have nukes in their hands, even though both guys have finishing power, it actually means we get to see them fight longer and more. And as a result, you get these crazy wars like Van versus Royval. Joshua Van is just so active and so sick to watch. I hope he gets the belt because we deserve it. Tom Aspinall. Big Tom is in the A tier where he belongs. Insanely entertaining fighter and all-round cool dude. Everyone loves Tom Aspinall. What's not to love about his style? A massive body with nuclear hands, crispy boxing, fast footwork, and he goes for the jugular. Hard to compare to someone like Joshua Van because it's like if Van's first combination landed and knocked his opponent out, how would you rate him? Tom Aspinall gets that bonus entertainment factor just through having more dire consequences when his shots land. Tom Aspinall on a crazy win streak. Forget the Curtis Blades loss. Knocking out scary dudes like Sergey Pavlovich, submitting guys like Alexander Volkov. Tom is the heavyweight champ and he's a star in the UFC. Hope he culled Cyril Gahn. Jack Della Maddalena. You didn't think I'd be forgetting about fucking JDM, did ya? Mate, JDM's one of the fucking sickest fighters to watch of all fucking time. This guy made a Bilal Muhammad fight a Fight of the Year contender. That's all I need to fucking say. JDM is that guy with vicious finishing potential and some of the cleanest boxing, especially to the body, we've ever seen at welterweight. Can't wait to see him knock out Islam. Jean Silva. Jean Silva, one of those guys who's so sick that even when he loses, it's insane and his stock continues to rise. I wasn't even really that high on Jean Silva until the Diego Lopez fight. I mean, I saw his performances against Charles Jourdain, Weston Wilson, Melsick and Bryce Mitchell, but it was actually his loss against Diego Lopez that cemented Jean Silva as one of my favourite fighters in the UFC right now. Such a sick, flashy style of fighting. He's got such a fun style. I just wish he'd stop fucking around so much in there and get to work. Although that is part of the whole appeal of Jean Silva, I guess. Yeah, high praise to have him this far up, but I rate Jean Silva. Diego Lopez. If my opinion of Jean Silva rose that much after the Lopez fight and he lost it, imagine how high my rating of Diego Lopez is. Well, you don't have to imagine because here he is in the A tier, a strong A tier contender for Diego Lopez. I've spoken a lot about this guy on the channel lately. I have so much respect for him and how he fights. He's almost a must-see guy. Like, nah, sorry, I can't come to this important family event. Diego Lopez is fighting. Epic, fun, blockhead marauder in the octagon, great personality, insane chin, predator instincts. Diego Lopez is a big Punch Ons favourite. Carlos Prates. The final entry at A tier, Carlos Prates. Prates is another guy who I've been talking about on the channel this week. I had him at number 5 in my pound-for-pound Brazilian fighters list. Prates is actually going above Jean Silva and Diego Lopez purely for the reason that Prates don't grapple. He's happy to lose the fight as long as it means he doesn't have to grapple. I like that about Prates. Sick, nasty, action-packed striking style, really effective user of knees and elbows, spinning techniques, kicks, punches. He's got the whole striking toolkit and he uses it. Hype is restored on Prates after that Jeff Neal performance. I mean, it's Jeff Neal, but if you can do something similar to Leon Edwards, we may be putting Carlos Prates on the channel banner, boys, I reckon. we will be displaying CP on the home screen of our channel. Carlos Prates, sick fighting style, one of the best of the UFC right now. Please keep feeding this man to strikers. All right, now it's time for the S tier. These guys are the
ultimate gods of chaos, of war, of violence and doom.
Okay, the first guy at number 5 isn't exactly the best example of that, but you know what I mean. Here we go, my top 5 most entertaining fighters in the UFC. These are the guys I would miss my nan's funeral just to go watch them fight, and I would not even be sorry about it. The whole rest of the list hasn't really been ranked in like number order, but these last 5, yeah, they're kind of in like order from 5 to 1. So here we go. S tier.
Gods of chaos.
Derek Lewis. Can't be a Punch Ons tier list S tier without Derek Lewis making an appearance. The Black Beast is pound for pound one of the funniest, most entertaining, hilarious UFC fighters of all time. There has never been a Derek Lewis fight that I've watched and not ended up laughing my ass off. Even his worst performances against Jailton Almeida, it was an absolute snooze fest, but still funny as fuck because Almeida couldn't finish D-Lou. And Derek was just doing funny shit like just randomly standing up, and I think at one point he just tossed Jailton to the ground at the end of the round. It's always a pisser watching Derek Lewis fight. He's got some of the most memorable quotes of all time. Where Ronda Rousey fine ass at, and my balls was hot. Yeah, you best believe I'm needing that piss bottle when the Black Beast is fighting. I'm not going anywhere. I'm watching that with my eyes glued to the screen. Max Holloway. The best is blessed, baby. We're going to find out Saturday night. Holloway's here at number 4. No arguments. One of the greatest fighters of all time. Entertaining as fuck. Got a great fan-friendly style that he's continued to develop over the years. He's always in big fights, usually on the winning side of it, unless it's against fucking Volk, mate. He had great scraps with Calvin Kattar. Yeah, he made a Calvin Kattar fight interesting. In that fight, he set a UFC significant strikes record. Had a scrap with Arnold Allen, Yair Rodriguez. The trilogy with Volkanovski was competitive. Dustin Poirier, that was a sick fight. He's beaten Aldo twice, Oliveira, Pettis, and you can't forget the highlight KO of Justin Gaethje at UFC 300 with 1 second left on the clock. That's the stuff that dreams are made of. That moment was what truly shot Max Holloway to stardom in the UFC. An undeniable member of the S tier here, Ilia Topuria. Ilia is the pound-for-pound number 1 guy in the UFC right now, and he's up very, very high on this tier list too. Ilia is the ultimate assassin, but what sets him apart from the guys like Islam and Hamzat, who are dominating guys, is a few things for me. Number 1 is who he's doing it to. Yes, a few of the same guys that Islam has beat, but better than anyone Hamzat's beaten. Number 2, the way he's doing it, just devastating, disturbing knockouts with barely any adversity. But the third reason why Ilia is so high is because we've seen what he's like when the guy doesn't go out. Look at how he butchered Josh Emmett. Yeah, it's only Josh Emmett, but we know that Ilia is a maniac. It's just that he's so precise and dangerous with his hands that nobody can survive more than a round or so with him. Look, I do have this deep-seated feeling that maybe Ilia is not actually that good, just in his prime and facing guys whose chins can't take it. So maybe Ilia unravels a bit over the next couple of years, or maybe the UFC protects him and just keeps giving him unks to sleep. Like in 2035, they finally sign the 10-year White House anniversary card, and we finally get the Ilia Topuria versus a 40-something-year-old Islam Makhachev, and Ilia just sleeps him out cold. Nah, as of right now, with how things are played out, I'm putting Ilia tentatively here as my third favourite, most entertaining fighter in the UFC, but hopefully he's got some more stuff coming up soon and he gets a bit more active. Alex Pereira. Poatan is coming in as my second favourite UFC fighter in terms of pure enjoyment, entertainment, and violent moments. Pereira has changed the game for the UFC. After his debut against Andreas Michailidis, the UFC was set on an alternate path of reality where Poatan is just sleeping everyone left and right. Sean Strickland, boom. Izzy, boom. Izzy, boom, boom, got him back. Goes up to light heavyweight. Gets past Jan Blachowicz. Sleeps Yuri twice. KOs Jamal Hill out cold. Emotes on him. Destroys Khalil. And now he has his brutal revenge on Ankalaev. Pereira has one of the sickest walkouts we've ever seen. By far, probably the coolest UFC title run we've ever seen. Endless memes, edits, and content spawning from Pereira fights. The world is Sharma crazy right now, and so they should be. Pereira is doing God's work in the UFC. I hope he stays around and just keeps sleeping everyone with that left hook. Fuck yeah, how good is Alex Pereira? There's only one man who I rate higher than him in terms of entertainment, and it's one of his many arrow victims, Jiří Procházka. No surprises here. At number one, it's Jiří Procházka. I just made a whole 15-minute Jiří appreciation video the other day. Go check that one out. We're just now in the afterglow of the Jiří Procházka versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. war, and boy, it's never felt better to be a Jiří Procházka fan. This guy is back in a big way, and I love it. Before you start furiously typing in the comments like, what the fuck, bro? How can you have Jiří above Alex when Alex slept Jiří, blah, 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 blah. Remember, this is not a who's the best fighter tier list. It's not who's the most skilled or who beat who. There are certain elements of that when I'm deciding here, but in essence, this is a list of fighters that I like watching fight. And like I said, it's barely even in order at all. I just went through the rankings and added a bunch of guys and then remembered this guy or that guy and just smushed it all together. But yeah, I am going to stand on business with this Jiří Procházka ranking. Go watch my other video if you want to know why I love Jiří so much. But he's just the ultimate warrior, the Czech samurai, has the most insane and pulse-quickening fighting style of all time. He's a completely primal, ancestral being who goes into his flow state when he's fighting, and it's just completely unfair to his opponents. He just acquires his target, locks on, and calmly, confidently, in the most goofy, unpredictable style fashion possible, hunts his target down until it is severed from consciousness. Jiří is the most unhinged, schizo, hilarious, entertaining fighter of all time, and you can't call it recency bias. Just go and watch his fights for yourself. If you haven't seen him, you wouldn't understand. That's the list, boys. Drop a like because this took me all fucking day to make. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram at Punch Ons MMA. See you in the next video. Let's go for that.